Do all that pre-show and I didn't. Sorry, YouTube viewers, you're not going to see the pre-show because I forgot to record earlier. Anyway, oh well. A lot of really funny stuff happened, I can tell you that.
It was amazing.
Take our word for it.
Patrick was on fire.
Oh my gosh, have you ever seen him at a higher level?
That on fire. I don't know. I mean,
it's intense.
I've been on fire before, but that was like Inferno Blaze. Right. It was insane.
Yeah, he got enraged. All right, let's do this. Begins in 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Instance.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Instance. This is The Instance, the World of Warcraft podcast, so you don't have to. Up to episode, let's see, 395 is where we're at. 395. Whoa. I know, it's crazy.
Whoa.
I know.
We're only 5 away?
Only 5 away from 400. What are we doing special? Probably nothing. Probably nothing.
Yeah, I guess when you get to 400, you just stop. It's like, you know, when you get a little older, you stop celebrating your birthday.
At some point, it just becomes so long, you're like, what do I even do here?
Well, for 500 or 1,000, maybe.
Yeah, we should totally do that.
Yeah, like just
for 1,000
increments of 100. Come on, we blew past 3 of those already.
We did something
1,000
big.
would be like in 10 years, right?
Yeah, something like that. We did something kind of big for 100. We did another sort of big thing for 200. And then 300, not so much, and then 400, not. I feel like these increments don't matter as much, but yes, I think 500, maybe 1,000. That's when things go.
Yeah, 1,000 will do something from the retirement community.
Yeah, right.
We'll just invite everyone. You know, they'll have to put their teeth in, and it's gonna be fun. So it'll be
Old Man Franks will actually be Old Man Franks.
You think we'll still have flying and Draenor anytime soon? That'll be the topic. It'll be a fantastic time. Looking forward.
I think we should throw everybody off and just do a huge celebration for like episode 467. Just like out of nowhere, we're just like, we did it, guys.
Yeah, why not? We'll make it. We made it to an arbitrary number.
Yep.
No, I think for 4,000, for 1,000, not 4,000. What's going to happen is people are going to be like, "Oh, you remember the good old days of expansion 7 or expansion 9? That was when WoW was good."
Yeah, that'll be
now all those kids.
Isn't that all we do now? That's all that happens now. May as well just
so it's not going to stop, right?
No, it's kind of it's depressing and somehow liberating to admit that that's just how it is. You know, people are going to do this.
2.0, clearly the best.
Yeah. Right. And where is my Web 3.0? What the hell? I was promised that forever ago. Anyway, hey, here we are. We're doing it. We got a show. It is Friday, December 19th, 2014. Our last episode until after the first of the year. So enjoy this while you got it here, folks, because this is it until after the 31st. Well, I don't even know. I suppose I could look when our next episode would be, just to get a little business out of the way this morning. But
Christmas itself is on.
Are we going to do
Friday,
one for the 2nd?
We probably should try to squeeze something in on the 2nd. Yes, I would think. I'll be home from my trip on the 31st, so yeah, that's plenty of time. So yeah, we'll assemble something on the 2nd, but as far as the day after Christmas, no show. So really, we're just missing one, I guess. Interesting.
Yeah.
I hope everybody listening has a wonderful Christmas, or whatever it is you may celebrate during this time of year.
Yeah, come on, Scott. Let's be a little more non-denominational
here.
Okay?
I hope you enjoy your, what is it, the Festivus, the Kwanzaa. What do they do in France? I guess they do Christmas in France.
Oops. We do have, well, I was going to say Festivus. We do have Christmas, which we call Noel.
Oh, you do?
Oh, okay.
So, okay. The first Noel, that song, is that a French song?
I guess so. I don't know what song you're talking about.
You've never heard the first Noel. You haven't heard that?
I think you should sing a little bit more, so I'm sure, you know.
That's hilarious. I can't believe you don't know that song. All right. Well, it doesn't matter because we're here to talk about Warcraft, World of, colon.
We're not talking. We're talking about, what is it? Winterfest?
Winter Festival, or what is it called now? What do we call that? Is it called something? I can't think of it. I never do that event. It's called Winter's Veil. There you go.
Winter's Veil. Yeah, whatever.
Is anyone doing that?
Once you're done with the long, strange trip, it's like none of them matter anymore.
Patrick, do you do the events? This is since you haven't been on the show for so long. I don't think I've ever asked you this, and we all know what we do. But do Do you play through that stuff when the holidays come?
No, it doesn't really change all that much. Sometimes I'll do the headless horseman or stuff like that because he always gives loot. But no, usually I've done them enough times, so I don't usually bother too much with the with those things.
Yeah, this time of year,
unless it gives specific loot that's actually relevant in the current. Yeah, like that's the only reason to do it.
Well, plus you get to every year we hear from people, and I think we even probably mirror this a little bit. We talk about why Blizzard could go back and tweak some of this stuff, or at least add new things to it, because at some point, and there's been a little bit of that over the years, but at some point you're doing the exact same thing you did in vanilla, 10 years in a row, and
but they can't take it out because the players who are new haven't done it before.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are just discovering the game and they're like, oh look, there's something for Christmas or for
but couldn't it just be couldn't it just be something else for Christmas? Meaning the actual activities you do could just be different year to year, or even every couple of years or something. Every expansion.
I'm sure they could. I'd rather have I'd rather have like more newer in-game content or stuff like that.
Good point.
Yeah, I'm sure they're evaluating every time, and maybe at some point they will go ahead and change some of that. But
I'll tell you this though, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart: the great thing they've missed this year, if Blizzard missed any opportunity, it was to give us all a Winter's Veil tree in our damn garrisons. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding that that's not a thing? How is that not in here? How is there not a Christmas tree there with a freaking goblin or gnome handing out snowballs?
I'm surprised that my whole garrison isn't just decorated for Christmas.
How hard would that have been? They do it with everything else. I mean, I can go to Stone Talon Mountains and look how decorated it is.
All right, rage quit. I'm not playing this game.
I'm out of this game.
That's it.
Stupid game. Anyway, no, we love this game, and boy, do we love the fact that this week finally some big news dropped. Let's talk about this 6.1 stuff. The plans anyway. And it's important, I think, to call them plans because as it stands right now, there are a couple of things in here. I wouldn't call them fishy, but they're certainly not in stone. And maybe the biggest bombshell of them all is the one that is the least in stone. And that is what they're calling tradable game time tokens that you can sell to other players for gold. To go on to explain it a little bit, I'll give you a quote from them, and then I'd really like to discuss what the hell this might be. They say this: our current thought on this is that it would give players a way to use their surplus gold to cover some of their subscription cost, while giving players who might have less playtime an option for acquiring gold from other players through a legit and secure system. They then have a lot of language in there about, we're not ready to say when this is going to happen, and we don't know exactly what this is going to be for sure. But they're referencing other games that do this. They don't specifically call them out by name, but I would put forward EVE Online does this. They have a way of grinding in-game currency that pays for your actual monthly subscription. Something similar to that, one would think, would be happening here. Let's start with Patrick. How would you feel about, I guess, paying? Essentially, you'll end up paying for game time with gold.
Yeah, traditionally I've been an auction house fiend, so it's not really like I need gold, and I'm also at an age where I have enough disposable income that if I want to play the game, then I can pay for it. It's not necessarily a big issue. So I don't think it's going to affect me too much. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to be really, a segment of the population is going to be really happy that that is possible, because as they're saying, there are people who have tons and tons and tons of time on their hand and that might not have as much disposable income as we do at our advanced age. And it could be cool for them to just grind the gold and not have to pay for their WoW subscription anymore. That's, a really enticing prospect for some people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And, there are a lot of people equally that complain that they don't have enough gold to do what they want. And some of them might turn to third-party services that are, usually questionable at best. And that's a very easy and valid way of doing that. So, of getting gold for money. Yeah. So I don't really see a downside to any of this. I'm sure it's not going to speak to everyone, but I don't see how that could be a problem per se.
It's an interesting stage for them to do it, because here we are now back up to 10 million players and maybe less reason than ever in the last at least 3 or 4 expansions to be concerned about people not paying for their subscription, because your numbers are actually up. Now, those will dip like they always do naturally from the fall off that you have with every expansion or every MMO, really. But it seems odd, the timing for me. I don't know why. Like, I would have expected this to pop in during maybe even Pandaria, because they were struggling after the dip after Cataclysm. Things hadn't really been the same. You know,
but there isn't a reason to not do it now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Right?
I guess so.
I mean, they keep. You know, it's quite amazing the amount of small things that they change, alter, you know, all the time, and that make the game not just a better game, but that make it more current, give more options to players all the times. And I think that's just one extra thing that they're doing to improve the game. They see what it needs. I'm sure they have, you know, numbers and analysis telling them what player behavior is, and they're thinking this could be something that will benefit all, you know, a certain amount of players and keep them interested in playing. So I don't think, you know, they should be going like, well, that's not what you're suggesting, but they wouldn't be going like, oh, we should have done it, you know, 2 years ago, so now we're not going to do it.
Right. No, that's a good
point.
Yeah,
you don't not do it because you should, like, the opportunity has already passed when it would have made more sense. And I honestly don't think that it does make more sense to offer something like this during a leaner time. I think you want to get all the money you can during the leaner times. But what this essentially does is opens up possibilities for people who may have been considering not playing, because the $15 is actually a burden for them.
Are you surprised? We talked about this a little bit pre-show, so I already kind of know the answer. But are you a little bit surprised about the vagariness of the announcement? Because it is kind of an official post by them.
Well, I mean, I really think what they're doing here is they're testing the waters by saying it before it's set in stone, because it's pretty clear now to anybody who is paying attention that Blizzard is also paying attention to what we're saying. So, you know, when something happens, a change is made, and the people really don't like it, people are very vocal, and Blizzard has shown a willingness to completely go back on changes that they've made. I mean, going back to personal loot, what was the original thing, the real names in the forums or whatever it was. Like, there's just been so many things that have just, people have rioted, they've vetoed, and they've gone back on it. So I think they just kind of want to test the water to see how people actually feel about this. There's actually already a couple of long discussions in the forums, and some people are comparing this to like legalizing the selling of gold, which I don't quite agree with.
I don't either. Well, although
what it does is it takes away. It's almost like taking that black market that does still exist, even though it's been kind of slowed to a crawl at this point.
Yeah,
they've taken that and they put it like back in the hands of them and their players, and not these kind of shady,
a little bit,
third party.
And I mean,
you know,
I mean, it is a little bit of that, certainly, but it's I don't know. I'm wondering how this will how successful it will be, and what they're going to be monitoring is the economy, how it affects the economy. That's, I think, where the potential dangers could come from.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you know, we discussed over the past couple of weeks how players usually now have enough stuff that they don't really need to go out and buy more stuff. On the auction house, I mean, you know, so the economy has slowed down, it seems. And if I'm very curious to see at what price these things are going to sell on the auction house. Because if they cost, you know, I don't know, let's say the price of a month of subscription, and they go for 1,000 gold, is that something that you'd be interested in? You know,
if that's really cheap,
that seems cheap.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I don't know that people are going to be willing to pay $13. How much is it in the US? Something like that.
15
for 1,000 gold. So it would have to be a lot more.
Yeah.
But since people don't really, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. But it's a very delicate thing to get into the game as it relates to the economy and how it will influence the value of these things.
Probably why you're seeing them be a little bit cagey in the announcement, because they don't want to lock anything in yet, obviously quite yet, and they know that this is a sensitive thing. At least I have to think they believe that.
Sure.
And so to put this in, it has the same, well, not the same impact, but it's got the same potential scary impact that, say, even garrisons have had on the economy, which is still not sussed out. We still don't know what that landscape looks like.
Yeah, I mean, they flooded the market with the mats and stuff and all that, but
yeah.
Okay, here we go. 20,000 gold, and I've taken my own personal risk here by going to this website. 20,000 gold sells for US $14.
$14 for 20,000 gold. So now that's about the price of a US subscription to the game. And I'm not saying yours is an exact, straight across comparison, but
yeah, this is the closest number to. I mean, that's somewhere in between the 12 and 15, depending on how many months you pay for at a time.
Sure. Right? So if we equate it to say what is that per? Well, let's figure out what that is per dollar. I don't know. I'd have to do the math in my head here. But the point is that is anybody willing to spend 20K gold for $14 worth of game time? And I don't think so, dude. That seems high.
I think some people are. Some people are like gold capped in this game. They have so much gold, it's ridiculous. Yeah. They will never have to pay another $1 to Blizzard to continue to play. I used to work with a guy at Apple who said that he got sick of playing WoW. So now all he does is he still plays, but he just does the auction house, and he's gold capped on like 4 characters.
Wow!
And I was like, so you got sick of the game, and then you're like, yeah, no, I just play like 2 hours a night now. I'm like, okay, dude. You're a different kind of person than me. But
I know that you guys don't have too many, auction house traders in the team, but I used to enjoy that tremendously. I mean, it was so much fun going in, playing with the expectations. The weekends would come in and the economy would shift, and then you would have announcements of future patches and the changes that would imply, and you would bet on some of those changes, and clean the auction house before the patch would hit, and then resell the thing twice the price the next day because people were not it's a super fun part of the game.
You're the Wolf of Wall Street. Here's the thing.
Basically, that's what it is.
Yeah, and this is what's kind of funny. My brother-in-law, who now owns a very lucrative day trading company, started his taste for that in World of Warcraft, and before that, the auction systems that were available and things like EQ and some other things. They were a little more simplified, but he has this ability, this knack to come into a game that has a thriving economy, auction house-based system like WoW's, and just dominates it, and would walk away with maybe level 10 characters doing all the bidding he needs, but having hundreds of thousands of gold in the fraction of the time it took anybody else to earn it. And he literally turned that into this big hot day trading job. So wow. I'm not sure, Patrick, you're in the right business, man. Maybe you need to dip your foot into the lucrative world of Wall Street and day trades. Who knows?
Yeah, that's real money, though. That's the problem.
It is real money, and it's scary, and some of it's fishy.
But I mean, I was
just go solo some instances if you lose it all.
That's right. That's a good point. You can't just grind it out. Sorry, Patrick, you were going to say.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I was pretty successful at it. What I would do is that for each expansion, I would set myself a goal for the expansion of the amount of gold I wanted to have. Yeah. And it was usually a ridiculous amount. Not completely ridiculous. I wouldn't go gold cap or anything like that, but I would go, 20,000, then 100,000, then whatever. And I've been living basically in the past couple of expansions off of the amount I accumulated in the ones before. So I don't know if I'm quite ready to take on Wall Street yet, but I don't know. Sometimes I miss it a little bit. Maybe I should get back into it.
Let me tell you the way.
It's completely crazy right now though because of the whole mats. Like it used to be that mats could be something you could always kind of rely on. Yeah. And actually, I've made a lot of money off of things like I've made a lot of money off of things like enchanting mats because those are actually really hard to come by still.
Yeah.
Whereas
but I mean, it's not. It's been mats in the past, I don't know, 3-4 years, maybe even more. But at the very beginning, it was items. Sure. Items was what you would bet on, and you would buy batches of not epics because that was too risky. But you would buy blues, and you could do a lot of money with that. And I remember my very first big score on the auction house. It was an epic sword, which I bought. I snatched it with all my wealth. I spent all my money. It was, I think, about 100 gold back then. and it was pretty cheap at that point. And I was like, oh crap, should I buy it or not? It's gonna go if I don't, but is it really a safe bet? Blah blah blah. I ended up buying it, and I put it back on the market, and I was shaking. I was so nervous to see if it was going to sell. I think I sold it for, I don't know, 400 or 1,000 gold or something like that.
Which at the time is just enormous amount of money.
It was, yeah, exactly. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it sold, and I was dancing, and I called my friends, and I was like, it was fun. It was fun.
Wow.
You know what? Now though, that stuff is still worth a lot because of transmog. If you can go get BOE items that are cool looking, you can sell those for a lot of money.
That's true. That's a new piece of that market.
Mats are not as hot as they used to be, but it doesn't mean there isn't an economy and a way of trading on the auction house for things, because there are, as long as there are things that people want that you can sell, then there's going to be an economy there.
Yeah, for sure. I have a mission to make before we move on to this legendary follower business. The most money I ever made in the game was 100,000 gold, and I made it in one shot, and here's how I did it. And this really makes me look like the Queen of England, so I apologize for what I'm about to tell everybody. But somebody in our guild was quitting the game entirely. He had just had triplets. He was moving on, getting out, had new plans for his life, and says, I cannot play World of Warcraft anymore. And he was doing one of those, I'm burning all my items, I'm killing all my stuff, I'm deleting all my characters, and I need a place to put this gold. Will you please take my 100,000 gold? And I said, yes, of course I will. So now...
You, Scott Johnson, you took a hand-me-down subsidy from... That is shameful.
It kind of is. I'm a little embarrassed by it, but he did it in a genuine way, and I genuinely needed the money, and I hate auction houses, and I hate the economy in the game. I'm terrible at it. So
it's just an act of philanthropy. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I was a real charity case for sure.
So what's the good cause? Oh, it's just Scott. And
it's just Scott.
Scott's he's a needy.
So every garrison plan I purchase, every repair bill I do, whatever, it goes cha-ching, and I go, thanks, dude, who left and is never coming back, because I wouldn't have been able to afford that without you, buddy.
Well, anyway. Now his triplets must be old enough that he can, give it a try.
I wonder if once
and he's going to come back for his. He's going to come back for his 100K.
Dad?
Yeah, you still holding on to our investment? Yeah.
You gave it all to Scott Johnson?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
We could have been playing WoW right now.
Well, so do you still have it?
I'm still burning through it. I mean, occasionally it'll go up because I'm doing a lot of whatever that's earning me some gold. Putting stuff on auction house occasionally that will make me some gold, but it's just sort of there. I feel like I don't hardly spend most of it or much of it because I'm not spending enough on other things to do crafting and things. So it's kind of just there in the bank. The only real expenditures I've done in the last 2 expansions probably have been this garrison stuff. Like that costs a chunk of gold every time you do anything.
Yeah, that wasn't that much, honestly. I mean, it's 5,000 to upgrade, and that's pretty much it. It's usually it's the mounts for my alts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and for every plan for a level
baseline.
Go ahead.
The baseline of the costs in the game have to be supported by the money you make playing the game, or else you have to start grinding gold, which is not as fun as actually just playing the game for the game.
That's a good point.
So if you start fresh, if things are well done, you're going to get enough money to play the game normally. Where the gold sinks come in is those, mounts and whatever that cost a huge amount and that you can't necessarily afford if you're not making extra gold purposefully. There is, however, another item that I think we should mention. There was a pet at some point that you could put on the auction house.
Oh, right. What was that?
I can't remember which pet it was, but I remember. I can't remember if it's still in the game.
You could buy with real money.
Yeah.
Exactly,
and that
you could put on the auction house.
I don't remember what the pet was.
So that could also be considered, buying gold with money.
Essentially. And we talked about that on the show.
I think we did. Yeah, I think we had
at the time.
we had a direct discussion about that and what the implication was for it. It's very similar, I guess. They're just.
So do you think that there's any at all comparison in this to like a pay to win type of model, because the people who have the $15 a month don't have to sink any of their in-game gold into anything other than stuff?
Well, it's weirdly.
I don't
it's weirdly
feel like there is because you can't buy very good stuff.
Well, it's weirdly reverse. It's kind of reverse, isn't it? Because we're talking about doing this now at the back end of things, not at the top end of things. Because usually when you refer to pay to win, it's like out of the gate with a game. It's like, yeah, you can do all this, or you can just pay and then have it all. This is a game where the only way to do it was to pay to have it all, and now they're introducing a way that those same people who continue to pay are just the same as they ever were, but it automatically puts them in a position of potential superiority.
But what I'm saying is, you can, if you pay your $15 a month and you earn your gold, you can now go on the auction house and buy a 640 crafted epic.
Yeah.
Whereas someone who's using all their gold just to pay for the playtime will not have the option to go buy the 640 level epic off of the auction house.
Yeah, but I think
spending all their gold on playtime.
Right.
But the person who's spending all their gold on playtime has lots of gold because they're already playing a lot.
They're probably someone who's playing enough to have the 640
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of something going on there.
It's still a question. It's still a question.
I don't think it's a solid argument that you would make.
Yeah, I agree, but it's still, there are these questions surrounding it, and I think.
But a kid who's like in college and his parents aren't paying for his WoW subscription, may go, oh my god, this is the perfect way for me to keep playing WoW. Oh crap, now I can't buy the thing that I want because I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I feel like at a basic level, even though yes, you could say the people who are spending all their gold on playtime are probably playing enough that it's fine. It still means like they're working a little bit harder. $15 a month is like less than an hour of work for me.
But they don't have to do it. They don't have to do it.
No, they don't have to.
They can still play the same way they did and use their gold however they want. It all comes down to, by the way, the chat room is yelling Guardian Cub. That was the
Guardian Cub, yeah.
Oh, that's it. Yep.
It all comes down to the way the game is designed, and if it's designed in a way that will give an advantage to people who do that, you could say the same thing about Hearthstone, for example. Hearthstone is designed in a way that doesn't really give an advantage to people who pay real money. It just allows you to do stuff a little bit faster, and that's the same here. It doesn't really affect the core elements of gameplay so much that I would argue it affects it less here than it does in Hearthstone. So yeah, I wouldn't say it has that effect.
I just know in the end, every time GURP buys 1,000 gold plan for a 3rd level upgrade to one of his buildings, Henry looks at him with a little bit of disdain and not a lot of respect because he knows where that money came from.
You didn't earn that.
Yeah.
You did not earn that upgrade to that building.
And then
although you still earn those garrison resources.
Then I dismiss him and I summon my ape. So there you go.
So you know what? I'm sick of your disapproving stares, Henry.
Because that ape,
Frank?
That ape, Frank. Yeah, Frank does not give 2 shits what I do with that money. He is just fine. All right.
He may throw 2 shits from time to time.
You mean all the time? Legendary followers are also coming, so we got the legendary quest line. It'll be added to that. You'll end up with a garrison follower, which is a legendary follower. All the implications of that aren't exactly clear at this point. But
I'm still kind of unclear on what. I guess I just haven't done the research. All I've just been doing is just doing stuff. I haven't really researched all the follower stuff. What's the difference between epics and rares?
Well, the theory is his rewards for doing
the rewards are better.
His rewards could be that 645 epic, or that could be.
I see what you're saying. Okay,
yeah.
all right.
So there could be more gold. There could be more XP. There could be a lot of RNG
I should probably look
possibilities.
into this rather than just
Well, that's the thinking, but they've been vague about it.
They're going to add missions that are more difficult and require higher eye level as well, and you might be able to upgrade your followers even more.
Sure,
I don't know.
Sure. It has to
be.
It
shows how big this damn game is because I can't keep up with all the things. I'm spending all of my time over at friggin' Arena Junkies and not at all on Garrison Junkies or whatever the site would be for that. Where I just don't know what the hell.
That's a pretty good name for it.
How this stuff works.
Garrison Junkies is all right. Yeah, where is that? Someone get on that. I don't know. I can tell you my focus in there has been mostly Garrison resources. I'm obsessed with maximizing that. All my buildings support that. And gold missions. So that's another way to learn. I earned, I don't know, 400 or 500 gold just this morning.
Yeah, it comes pretty quick, honestly.
Yeah. It's not bad.
To me, I haven't had any problem. Just like Patrick was saying, if the game is tuned properly, just regular play means you can afford all the things that you need, right?
Yeah.
And to me, what it feels like right now, it's tuned incredibly well. Like just by doing some missions here and there, doing regular questing, all that stuff, I haven't had a want or need for anything.
Yeah, and they're going to be players right now hearing us say that are yelling at their device they're listening to this on, saying, whatever, garrisons have ruined the game, you guys have no idea. There's a lot of talk from a lot of people about the honeymoon being over and garrisons being a real problem for them.
Really? Okay, epics have more skills. Okay, so they just have more of those traits and stuff then, is what you're saying.
Sure.
Got it.
And I need to finally...
but you can upgrade your rares. When they earn experience, they level up to and then to rare, then epic, then
Sure. But anyway, it's a strange... It's a strange place to be where so many are just loving the garrison system, and then there are some old timers who are just like, this is not the WoW I grew up with. I don't like this.
I'll tell you this: there's a little bit of grindiness to it right now, and the fact that I've got 4 alts who all have garrisons now, and every time I go to play the game, I feel the need to log into each one of them, collect my resources, do some missions, and then just now, once I've done all that, then swap over to Dills, then do it again on Dills. And
I refuse to do it because I still believe in my heart of hearts Blizzard's going to turn around at some point and make it all at least server character wide, and that all your characters will benefit from the same garrison at some point. That's what I think they're going to do.
I mean, you share the achievements for a lot of this stuff already. So to me, it just feels like there's enough of an incentive for me to feel the need to do this, and then doing it is kind of tedious already.
Yeah, the achievements are nice in that those are the things that you are gated to get, like 3rd level floor plans and stuff like that. So when you get the achievement, then all your characters can now do it, but you still got to pull from the same basic pool of gold because you're sharing, you're mailing gold back and forth to your dudes, and I don't know. Like, that's a mess, kind of, in my opinion. And that's why I think they'll address it in some other more elegant way down the road. And I am not going to invest.
I don't know that they will. I mean, there's always been this problem to an extent. You had to do your dailies on all your characters, and you had to do your dungeon. And if you wanted to progress on all your characters, you had to do it on each one. And this is just an exacerbated version of this, but I think it's more about us making basically what we were talking about last week, us deciding as players, this is how I want to spend my time in the game, and learning that actually we're doing this out of habit and not because we really want to. So I don't know that they're going to go. I mean, the implications for the game of merging garrisons on the server, I think would be too great. Maybe for the next one, they'll the next version of whatever
that could be,
might
and
be
so
designed differently.
Yeah, and so for me to spend a bunch of frustrating time trying to build it out for every alt, and really I only focus on 2 guys anyway. But even then it feels like too much.
You know what? It didn't feel like a chore until I got all of those alts up to level 2 garrisons, and then now they all have small and medium sized buildings that then also have to be dealt with. You just feel like, okay, I got to do all the mats, I got to do all the daily stuff that I can do for their professions and all that. It's just now it's starting to feel like a chore.
Well, even if they just let me take the mystery delivered stack of garrison resources that are in that box outside my front door, even if I could just Fleener, my mage, if he could just toss that in the mail to GURP, I'd be happy. Let me collect with
share
him.
resources
but that's
across, but the problem is then you'd have more alts and you'd have more resources.
Yeah, exactly. You do more alts, more. That's not. You can't just send the resources from one system into the other. Either you merge everything and you have one set of resources, or that's cheating, Scott.
Yeah, but Guild, they let me do it with gold. I can send gold to him. Why can't I send garrison resources to him?
But gold you have to earn by playing the game. Garrison just accumulates through time. So you just log in once, do the garrisons for all your characters, and then wait, and you have 10 times more.
Well, that's a good point.
Than you would if you only.
That's a fair point, but I would,
That's just min-maxing.
That's why all that is. Scott does not design games.
Yeah.
By the way, I think I'm going to start calling you Pat. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. Totally.
I do mind.
Okay. Sorry, Patrick.
Oh, I think you should call him Pat. Has anyone ever called you Pat, by the way? Or are you the only do you
Has
hate
anybody
that?
ever talked to you about how your name is just a combination of Pat and Rick?
So first of all, someone did. And second of all, they're not on this earth anymore.
Oh, wow.
If you get my meaning.
Whew, I do get your meaning.
That's fine. My name's a combination of Will and Lee, so it's fine.
Mine's a combination of SCO and OT, so take that.
Someone in the chat room is mentioning that there's now a free 10 days get back to WoW to try Warlords deal on idle accounts.
Yeah.
So, the holiday is coming up.
Yeah, good time to do it.
That's a good time to go try it.
Sure. And still not be able to share your resources, just so you know. They're fixing flight pathing, better routing. Not much to say here other than that's
great. This is actually really cool, though, because sometimes you're flying around, especially now with Warlords, it actually matters. You can't fly,
Yeah.
So,
well, plus they're gonna, they're gonna pat. That this is just to pad out the non-flying thing, though, too, because they're gonna make it so when you do need to get from some taxi to some taxi, it's less arduous, less time involved, less backtracking and looping.
Straight from one to the other.
One to the other. Yeah.
The whole thing where it has to go along each point along the way, it's just not needed.
Yeah.
By the way, if you need to just get around real quick within a zone, Aviana's Feather, man, that is the best thing ever. I don't know if you guys have that.
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about? No?
Okay. I've heard of it, haven't used it.
You get it by having I believe it's the tavern, and then it's a quest to do some dungeon or something. But basically, it's an item. You click it, you fly straight up into the air, and then you get wings, and then you can just fly wherever you want within the zone. And you go really high, so you can pretty much cross any zone.
Pretty sure Skyreach is the dungeon you get it from, and the quest in your tavern from that. I may actually have it. I just forget I have it.
Dude, put it in your bags. Use it all. Anytime I need to do some quest somewhere, there's a flight path that goes somewhat close to it.
Yeah.
I get there, then it's rather than run all the way across, you just boop up in the air, fly exactly where you need to go.
So I got to the point where I was doing a lot of repeated stuff with my tavern or inn or whatever, and I tossed it in favor of a trading post. Because again, more garrison resources.
But the tavern's so good. You get all these crazy cool quests for the dungeons that give you toys or weird little trinkety type things, and then you also get followers. Every week you get a new follower.
I just feel like I maxed it out kind of. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling like I was getting much out of it. It was just sort of this place. Also, the basement got glitched out a lot, and you couldn't go in there. I don't know what was going on there. I'd put a ticket in for it. I don't know if it got resolved or not, but it's a strange bug. But the other thing is I got rid of my engineer hut, the little, the small plot one. Because, again, I don't know what I was really getting out of that other than a place to spend ore. So, a few items are cool and whatever, and you can carry around that fake repair bot dude, the Walter guy, and he's cool.
Yeah,
he's pretty good. His cooldown sucks, but whatever. That was fine, but I decided to put a storehouse in because I really like the idea of a bank being right there and being able to.
But with the engineering hut, you get your bank.
You do,
Walter.
Oh yeah, but you can only have him out, and he's a 2-hour cooldown, and that thing was that's only good for
How often do you need your bank though? All you gotta do is just go in there, deposit all your mats, get out. That's it.
Yeah, but.
I'm not I don't know. Maybe you use the bank differently than I do, I guess.
I don't know.
I just have a bunch of crap in there that I don't need. That's pretty much what's in my bank.
I don't know.
It's why do I still have this thing?
I also like the idea that transmog and void storage and all that stuff can be there as well.
That's kind of nice, yeah.
I haven't gotten there yet, but I will.
Not having to go all the way to War Spear for that kind of stuff is cool.
Yeah, and I'm getting my fishing up. I can't believe I'm doing that. I can't believe I'm actually worried about fishing.
You know what, though? It's not that bad now. You do a couple of those dailies, you get 15 points a daily.
Yeah, it's not bad. Plus, you can, you get the right pool, and they're dropping that what is it, Wonder Worms or whatever the hell they're called, the lure that gives you plus 100.
Yeah, you get lures to get the specific item you need and all that. Yeah, it's pretty painless at this point.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna muscle through and max it out, which I cannot believe I'm saying that. I've never liked fishing in this game. I hate it.
Well, they've made it so much easier, though.
Yeah. Well, you have to at some point.
Remember, does anybody have Nat Pagel as a follower yet?
No, but I will.
Okay. I really want him I think he's the only fishing follower.
Well, Patrick, do you remember back in the day, correct me if I'm wrong, but early in the game when you would fish, you had to split-second click that thing and hope you had a good internet connection if you were even going to catch the lure. Do you remember how hard it used to be? Now you can kind of buffer it with a good 1.5 seconds on either side and still get it, even if you weren't paying attention.
I wouldn't say the split second, but it was definitely a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
But beyond that, you had to fish at a specific spot for each level range you were at in fishing. You know, you couldn't fish anywhere and get points. You had to go to the level appropriate zone and fish there, and that was it.
Yep. That's
yeah,
bad.
that was
Just bad. I think one day we're going to do battle pets that way. I think we're just going to be able to do whatever we want wherever we're at. Just click on a pet that has a paw or a tab. It will be level equivalent to what you need to do. Boom, you're in.
Wow. Just the quick tip here from the chat room.
Yeah.
Rock Kodesh. Just to anybody listening to the show who doesn't know this, you can go to other people's garrisons if they have an enchanter building and DE your items. Boom.
What? How is that even a thing they would allow you to do?
You can click. The enchanter thing has like a thing in the middle. You can click.
Wow.
And it allows you to disenchant stuff.
Hey, if you want to be embarrassed.
I didn't know that you could do that in other people's. If you don't have the enchanter study, that you could do that in other people's garrisons. That's pretty epic.
If you want to be embarrassed by how little you have in this world of Warcraft, go get in a group with Ro. Go to his garrison and see everything completely maxed out, running at peak efficiency, and knowing he has 5,000 garrison resources in the bank. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I don't know how he does it, but he has mastered the art of garrisoning in 2014.
Congratulations, Ro. You are something.
Nice job. I'm going to tear through some of these because we're eating a lot of time on this, but I'm going to say, for example, the heirloom tab is coming. That'll be nice. Great place to have
that's
entire
fantastic.
account.
Thank God.
I hope Transmog's behind that sometime at some point.
I heard that the new ones too are going to be like 1 to 60, and then you'll
upgrade
use
them.
some sort of a token to upgrade them.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
Upgradable heirlooms, basically, and one central UI to deal with it all, which is nice.
Yeah. Do we need heirlooms all that much though?
Well,
now that we have
for your alts, and
I guess
stuff.
for some, yeah.
I mean, even if you're
I still like them just because it's gear you don't have to get
to change. My
not
point
even the
is
experience thing. It's just gear you don't have to go get. You know?
Yeah.
Sure. No, I was gonna say, now that you can just level a character to 90 easily.
Well, for $60.
Yeah, that's true. I'm
That's easy for some
rich.
Yeah, sure. It's easy for Justin Bieber to buy a new car, but what else? We got we talked about that. Blood Elf models and other new character model fixes are coming. We knew that was coming. Black Rock Foundry will be in February. So if you feel like Highmall was going too long somehow, was long in the tooth, well, worry not, because BlackRock here in February.
It's coming. Yeah.
It's crazy fast to me. I don't know. Maybe it's the same schedule as always, but
it's kind of a short raid, so
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit shorter, and it's still, when was it? November 13th, the launch date.
Yep.
So you still have a good 1, 2, 3 months.
3 months of time.
Yeah,
it's fine.
That
decent. Seems like a good schedule for new raids to me, because you just the hardest stuff now has been defeated, so we should have more stuff coming soon, which is good.
That'll be good.
And it's still a couple of months away, so.
Sure. You can also now, or will be able to, not now, but be able to send tweets from in the game. And right now that does not include screenshots, so it has no meaning for me. I guess if you really want to impress your friends with your achievements or something.
Wait. It does include screenshots.
I read that it didn't. Does it not?
Well,
or does it?
I read that it did.
Oh, if it does, then I'm all in. That sounds like fun to me. Because then you can get all kinds of stupid stuff going on. Because what else is this for? Me bragging to you guys that I hit some achievement, I'd rather just do that over text.
You can stop arguing against it. It is supposed to include screenshots.
It says we're working on the ability to send out tweets, including screenshots.
No, I missed that.
Directly from within WoW, making it easier than ever.
Completely missed that.
See, Scott, including means that would include
you mean it's a part of it then, is what you're saying.
I thought you had robot eyes now, Scott. What happened?
Well, they're on the fritz. They're like Walter.
He sees the tiny small text that we're missing. Patrick,
they're like Walter. They're like the Walter bot. They're kind of shitty and have a terrible cooldown. So there you go. And then finally, new Garrison visitor will be there to give you tasks and quests. I'm actually kind of excited for that.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you're in, the more of that, the more random like occurrency kind of things that happen in your garrison, I think the better. That's some of my favorite parts about it. And Pepe is my favorite thing in the whole garrison. That damn bird in that tree. Just go click on him, put him on your head, and he'll be there until you die. It's fantastic. Greatest battle.
Wait. I don't know what that is.
You don't know about Pepe?
No.
Oh
okay.
God.
There is a
Scott,
tree.
teach him all about Pepe.
Here, you walk out of your garrison. I say this as if I knew it all along. I just barely learned it last week. Okay. But you walk out of the Garrison main building, Horde or Alliance, it doesn't matter. And to your left over there is a tree. And in that tree is a little bird. He's just in there singing. His name is Pepe. He's a little orange and reddish looking little bird. You jump and click on him while you're in the air, and he will poof in a plume of feathers and then be on your head. Now, you need your helm to be marked as showing in the display preferences to see this. Okay. But he will be on your head now, just sitting there chilling and chirping away the whole time you do anything now. He'll be there.
That is awesome.
It is the greatest non-combat pet in the history of World of Warcraft, in my opinion. And I guess it's the idea of the artist who is responsible for a lot of the Garrison art. That's something to do with him, and I don't know the whole story, but anyway, it's fantastic.
I kind of want to stop doing the show now and go do that.
It's funny because between, like, we would wipe on a heroic last weekend. I did a live stream. I think we're doing it again tonight, but we'd wipe, and everybody would feel this compulsion to hearth back to their to their thing and get a new Pepe on their head. Anyway, that's awesome. So go in there and get him if you haven't done it yet. We got a phone call we're going to play right now, and it's about gear stuff. Here you go.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Swedish from Manaroff. Long-time listener of the show, The Instance. Just had a quick question for you. For some reason, this expansion, unlike any other that I've played, I've been playing for quite a while, did not feel as though the new gear that I was getting in quests was necessary, if that makes sense. My 550 Prideful or maybe some of my raid gear seemed to hold me through. I know that right now I'm leveling my second of 13 characters. He's in full Prideful, and he's 99, and I've still yet to care to put any of the new stuff on. Just wondering what you guys thought, if y'all felt the same way as you were leveling through. Thanks for the show. You guys do a great job, and keep up the good work.
I'd still be using the same bow if I hadn't had a lucky RNG roll on a quest that gave me a better bow by only 2 or 3 agility points. So it was enough for me to say, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But this is the good and the bad, right? Like, the good is you're in this game where you now don't have to worry so much about, I got to improve my gear because I'm sucking. You've got good enough gear just to take you through those 10 levels. The downside is it is a little less fun, because the fun of getting new stuff all the time from a quest reward is fun. Like, there's a reason to do that. So I don't know. I'm always been torn on the issue.
So remember that this only applies to the raiders who probably raided, Siege of Orgrimmar for a good while, and got geared up at that level. For me, who didn't do that, I started upgrading at, I don't know, maybe 94, something like that. So it's not like everyone is in gear.
He's talking about, like, this is a PvP guy.
Yeah.
So PvP or PvE, you could kind of get away with this, but
not for it's kind of the same now anyway. The gear is a lot less differentiated, PvP and PvE. I'm wondering if he's asking whether it felt longer this expansion than the previous ones.
Good question,
Which is possible. It's possible. I don't really... I wasn't high level enough, gear level, for any of the expansions to take my gear farther than midway through at most. So,
I mean, everybody... To me, it's like you can't win if you're Blizzard with this one. You're either replacing stuff too fast or not fast enough. And I mean, you guys remember, was it like Burning Crusade, I guess was, the first time this happened, where people were like, I've been raiding Vanilla WoW forever, and I got all the stuff, and then I walk in and it's a green. The first green that drops is better than all my gear.
Yeah.
People were pissed. So they kind of tempered that a little bit, and if it's your character, if it's your main character, then yes, your main character will probably not get upgrades for a while. Probably not until you get to actually 100. I didn't replace very much stuff until about 100. But all my alts have been putting everything on. So it just really depends on how far your character progressed, and that's fine. It doesn't feel that bad to me. It feels kind of normal.
Credit where credit is due. Cartoonist, PvP Online cartoonist Scott Kurtz is the one that turned me on to Pepe. I wanted to give him credit today for that. He turned me on to Pepe. Anyway, yes, Patrick.
You removed the question about the second part of the raid.
Do
you mind if I address it very quickly?
Go ahead. Yeah, I took it out for time, but go ahead. Yeah, what do you have some thoughts?
I'll go quick. That's what she said. So I did the second portion of the raid LFR this week, and it felt a lot better than the first one did. We spent a lot of time saying last week that the raid was too easy, at least the first swing. And this one, we wiped a couple of times. There was a little bit more difficulty in there. So it was more fun. The one thing I'm a little bit concerned about is that without set gear, it doesn't feel like I have a lot to go in and go for, but that's you still get gear. So
yeah, there's gear to be had. Although I got gold my first run in there, which sucked. But
I got one item for the 6 out of the 6 bosses. But it's still, I still got something. And I just wanted to mention that even LFR is getting a tiny bit more difficult and a little bit more satisfactory. So.
I agree. There were people who died. There were things to pay attention to. It was definitely a better experience. Although, not that the first one was a bad experience, but I've come to grips with the fact that this is tourist mode. They intend it to be that way. It is fun to see that content. I like to be able to prepare in some way for normal raiding anyway by seeing it, not just videos. So I don't know where there's a downside. I like it.
The rework of the dungeon journal, is it where you know what you have to do? It's actually usable now.
Yeah.
So you just go in, read what you have to do, and it's by class, so you know what you have to pay attention to. And so I think that might have to do with it as well. Everyone is a lot more prepared for each encounter because most people are going to be reading these 4 lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even in heroics where they actually are kind of punishing some of those mechanics, hitting Shift J and quickly going, oh yeah, we need to not stay out of that stuff. We need to stand in it. It's going to damage us a little, but it's better than the other AoE or whatever. Like everyone now has real usable information on the fly that they kind of had before, but not really. So
yeah, you had to actually go out of the game to seek this information out for a long time. This is fantastic.
Well, not even there was
do that.
There was the dungeon journal that was in. It was just display.
No, but it didn't tell you
ability
what your class
by
needed to do.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was just kind of what the fight did, and then you had to read through all of the actual abilities and say, okay, now how does that affect me? What does that mean? Do I need to stand here or not here? What
It was like a good RP manual. Like it was a fun thing to look at and go, oh, we found this ancient journal with these notes. We should pay. That's fine, but it wasn't really helpful in terms of mechanics, which is good.
Yeah, now I can just pop it open. When I was first doing the heroics, I used to back in the day do heroics and go to Wowhead and read comments about the bosses and watch some videos and figure all this stuff out. Now I just open the journal and go, okay, stay out of the poop, kill ads, got it.
Yeah, simple as that. Do you guys hear about Death Knights? The creation of Death Knights requirement being removed in a future patch. Yeah, you can do level 1, I guess, which is
get in there.
That's crazy though, isn't it? Isn't it a little? Well, I guess it's not crazy.
Wait. I think you might have misunderstood.
I think you still start at 55.
Yeah, you start at 55.
But you just don't have to have a previous 55.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, now it makes sense. I was sitting there scratching my head for like a couple of days on this, going, well, what's the big deal? Because does anyone really want to start one at 1? I had this all backwards. It's all because the previous restriction, for those who aren't aware, was that you had to have a level 55 character of some ilk before you could build a Death Knight at 55, because that's when they start. This is just saying that restriction's gone. Just start one at 55 and go.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay.
But since you can have a character at 90 included in the expansion anyway, it's not that important anymore.
The only people this affects is people who don't have warlords.
It's true.
Literally.
That's
because
true.
if you have warlords, you have a level 90 character.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
I didn't think about that. What an odd thing, then, isn't it? A little bit.
Well, every time they put those numbers out and they say, we were at 10 million players and we sold 3 million copies of Warlords. I'm like, okay, so does that mean there's 7 million people who don't play Warlords right now?
Probably.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And they're not as cutting edge as even us who are not all that cutting edge.
It's 7 million people who forgot they were paying.
Like they're just running around in vanilla still. They're waiting for. I don't know.
That's terrible. All right, we got an email about flying and why some people really do want to fly.
Hi, I was just listening to the instance, and I thought that you guys didn't really have enough people that actually had the counterpoint of not enjoying the ability to not fly. So I like to do quests and that sort of thing, but I feel like I'm wasting so much of my time just trying to get to the quest objectives Because if you run in the direction that you're supposed to be going toward the quest objective, you run into a mountain and you get stuck there, and you try running to the south, and oh, that's not the way up there. You try running to the north, oh, that's not the way up. You have to go around, find some other way to get up there, and it just feels like you're wasting a lot of time instead of actually doing the quests. Whereas if you had flying, you could still mount up and fly right up on top of the mountain and then start doing the quest. I don't know. I just really hate the aspect of not flying. So I wanted to throw that out there to say that it is tedious and it does inhibit the way you're actually being able to play. Thanks, Mike.
Right.
If you hate that, yes.
Can I take this one?
Take it head on, man. Go.
All right, I'm gonna be an ass.
All right, hold on, everybody.
Listen.
Ass mode. This is ass mode. Go.
This will be bad, good cop, bad cop. Because I'm gonna be good cop here.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Listen, listener, person who took the time out of their day to send a message.
Wait, we should start with good cop here, though. Hold on. You want a cup of coffee, buddy? You want a cup of coffee?
There you go.
Sandwich or something?
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
You've seen TV.
The Captain Johnson wants to see you in his office. I'll take over.
All right, go get him, Pat.
So everyone understands what not having a flying mount means. You know, we understand that you actually have to run around finding the quest objective zone. You know, it's not like we didn't realize that was the consequence. It's just that you can't have this portion without having also people flying in, and what we were talking about, you know, for the past 3 months, or maybe just, 3 weeks, of actually doing the lift. You go up, you dive into the quest objective, do it, then go back up, and so you don't experience the world in the same way. And I don't think most people are super, if you could have the flying mount until you get into the zone, that specific zone mostly, and then you have to use your ground mount to run around, it would be okay. So the portion of getting there is not the problem. The portion of not having to go through the rest of the mobs and experiencing the world is the problem. And you can't have one without the other. So that's the problem. If you take away the thing you're complaining about, you're also taking away everything else once you're doing the quest, and that's the issue.
And that's why, and this works for him too. So I don't know, and this has always been the way it's been. He's complaining about a thing that's happening his first run through there. That should have been the same thing he complained about with the last all expansions, because you couldn't fly in any of them until you were initially done.
No, in Cataclysm you could.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And that's when it was kind of ridiculous.
And no one liked
that.
On
Cata, though, we were already in places we'd been, essentially. And also there was the fly. Well, yeah, I mean, we were in the original places. Cata, we didn't go somewhere new. We went back to the same place we'd already been.
A new world, but there were new zones in the old world.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, and Cataclysm, you were flying. Flying was important because you were flying over and viewing all of the stuff that had happened to this world. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Flying made a lot of sense in Cataclysm to have it right away.
It did, but it also really hurt it for several reasons, I think, in the initial run through. Now, what I would like is a middle of the road.
Didn't a lot of us do that thing where right when the world changed, we mounted up and we flew around and we looked at everything?
Oh, of course.
I did that.
Of course we did.
That was one of the first things I did.
And they weren't going to take that away from us.
I think it might have been because of technical requirements. Like if you go from one zone where you can fly to a zone where you can't, what happens? You just drop.
Just fall out of the sky, sure.
I guess maybe they could have done it with a parachute or something.
Yeah, they could have. But here's the thing. Here's the solution. It's simple. And I don't know why Blizzard's not doing this. Well, I kind of know because of all the hidden stuff in the world, the timeless isleification of the world. But the first run through to 100, no flying. Got it. Want it. That's how I wanted to experience that world with my main. Now that I've done that, though, let me pay $1,000 or whatever it is, $5,000, whatever, in gold.
5,000 of the gold that you didn't earn.
That I didn't earn, right? The free money I have in my bank. Mm-hmm. That.
Right.
Let me spend that free money. Let me spend that and let me fly now. Let me fly now.
I'm with you there, Scott. I think what we need, instead of waiting for you to get 100, I think it's just the next patch. Once the next patch hits, cool.
That's fine too. Yeah, that's fine too. And maybe they will. They haven't said. They have come out and said probably not 6.1. But
yeah, and that I mean, so I'm with this guy to a certain extent. But I'm also with you, Patrick, that I think experiencing the world is an important facet of this game that was kind of lost in the fact that we could just launch up into the air, come straight down on top of a quest objective that is clearly marked on our map. And there was just no exploration. There was no, you didn't see, like a lot of times mobs you just never saw.
I'm sorry, Dills. I think Captain Johnson still needs you. He has something he wants to ask.
Some coffee or something. No, for me,
donuts.
For me, it's as simple as you've seen the content, you experienced that firsthand, and with GURP, I read every word of quest text, and I did that on purpose. And now I'm not with my mage because I've seen it.
You just want to fly up into the air, land on the spot, do the quest.
Let me just go do it. Yeah, let me just do it. And maybe there's some structure in there that won't allow it at this point. I don't know. I can't think of any, but for me, there's no reason to then hold you back. So yes, there is a middle ground to this. I think the initial though, like going through, I'm grateful I couldn't fly.
I think it was fantastic.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Let's put this one to rest.
All right.
And not talk about flying mounts ever again until something changes.
Deal.
Excellent.
But if people keep sending in calls about it, they clearly want to talk about it. This is like Crackle on the Angry Chicken.
It is an
Garrett
issue.
Doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
But people clearly still want to talk about it.
It's an issue. By the way, but then again, think about the things other people want to talk about. Like you just mentioned the very first today in this entire episode of this show so far, you just mentioned the first reference and only reference to Hearthstone. There will be somebody on Twitter or Facebook that will claim
I talked about Hearthstone.
Oh, you did a little bit.
Yeah, Pat talked about it.
Yeah, that was Pat.
Sorry, I keep doing that. Now I said it once.
Captain
man.
Pat.
All right. I'm gonna kick this habit. I'm not calling
Inspector Pat, Sergeant Pat. No,
yeah, we're still pretending.
But somebody's going to claim that 80% of the show is Hearthstone talk. So there is no winning
because we mentioned it twice.
Because we mentioned it twice. It's just the way people get. And I if they keep bringing up flying and there's important points to cover, great. But I am also kind of with Patrick that flying goes away until something significant, like if Blizzard comes out and says, okay, here's our plan, we'll talk about that. But until then, I think we've heard all the arguments for and against.
I've achieved something.
Maximum flight is what you've achieved. Paragon got world first from Mythic Mall, so good job. That was pretty fast. Although
I think world second was Method, so apparently the U.S. sucks at rating.
Yeah, don't we though? Well, who's our guys? Blood Legion. They should have been
Blood Legion, but I don't even think they were. I think somebody else got NA world first. So yeah, I don't know.
As
something about what's going on over there, Patrick? What's going on in EU that makes you guys?
We weren't distracted by all the Sony hacks and all of that.
North Korea's not on your radar.
Can we go to the movies or not? Like to watch a stupid comedy?
Plus, you guys, you have a lot more vacation time. You just kind of sit
around. Right, that was the argument people were saying. You guys get more vacation time.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
That's absolutely the reason. I'm sure the American guilds were not doing that. The tries 24/7.
Well, with our crappy healthcare and
oh no. I know what it was. We had for the expansion, we get the expansion before you by 8 hours, 9 hours.
Yeah, that 8 hours was all you needed.
That is exactly. And then it's not like the American guilds got it 8 hours later, but it was just it was already discouraging that we got the 9 hours ahead. So that's why I understand. Yeah, it makes sense.
Rage quitting the game. I'm out.
I just I think there's a combination of those factors, and then maybe there's also I don't know. You're right, Pat. Like people were saying, oh, it's because they get more vacation time, and my thought is, aren't the people who are doing this at the high end? They're really all working jobs too. I think a lot of those people are just playing WoW, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they have jobs.
Sure, some of them have jobs. Yeah, but I don't think all of them.
I'm sure. No, but I'm
pro
also
gamers
sure
out there, right? I mean,
they're blocking off, if you're doing this competitively, high level world top guild, I'm sure they're keeping a block of a week to try it out, right?
Yeah,
all day. I'm guessing maybe it's not the case
in theory.
It just seems weird to me that there are people who, and here we go again, 80% of this show is Hearthstone. There are people who literally just play Hearthstone all day and that's their job.
Yeah,
and you can't play World of Warcraft all day and that's your job.
Yeah, gotta be somebody.
What's up with that, man?
Yeah. Well, no, Paragon, they're all sponsored, and this is their job.
That's my understanding. Yeah,
I think this is it. This is what they do. I don't know about Blood Legion. I have no idea.
I think some of those. I think that might also be a thing. Maybe there's just more willingness to sponsor in EU.
Could be. I hung around with a bunch of those Blood Legion guys at the CTR party there at BlizzCon, and those guys were super nice, really awesome. But I always mean to ask them that, like, is there a disparity between different teams, and how seriously they take it?
It's like the Korean StarCraft players are so much better because they live in like a gaming house and play for 12, 14 hours a day.
Yeah, they're like little kids raised
the American
to be
guys,
gymnastic
the American
kids
guys
or whatever.
Just the kid who plays all the time on the ladder.
Yeah. It's like the Mary Lou Rettons of Korea. This is all they know and all they've done since they were children. Well, I guess since 98.
Highly trained to have no wrists by the time they're 25.
Sounds about right. Well, grats to them. We're going to do a couple more emails. By the way, if you want to call us on the show, there's always a way. 801-471-0462. That's 801-471-0462. That'll get a message on the show. We're happy to play those, as you heard earlier. And you can also email us at theinstance@gmail.com. Both your attachments like MP3s and stuff and emails are welcome. Here's an email from, let's see, Fordress, a level 100 human warrior, who says, hello, Instance crew. Got a quick question. Do you think that we will ever be able to play a villain in the game? As a Death Knight, I would have liked an option to stay among the Scourge. During MOP, I would have liked to have fought one of Garrosh's true horde, or fought as one of Garrosh's true horde. I recognize having anything similar to a third faction isn't going to happen, but that's basically what he's asking for. But I would like the option to stop playing the hero and helping the children and find their lost stuff and their dumb Elec toys. Sometimes you just need to be the bad guy. I'm curious what you guys think. Thanks for the show, Fordress. So it's a lot like, it's gone now, but City of Heroes had this villains expansion, and it basically did introduce this other faction where you could play the bad guys. What he's asking for is just that. It is a third faction. Yeah. And we've been asking for that for years.
You could role play this. Yeah. I mean, you could just go around and just be a jerk to everybody and just be like, I'm role playing being the bad guy.
Yeah, like douchebag Carl does.
But you can't effectively play the game if you're going to do that. Like, you can't progress through the game. It's not the point of the game.
You get to 100 and then you just get a bunch of big mobs and you just bring them into big cities and you do all kinds of crazy stuff.
But you can't, like the peace-loving Pandaren who can level without ever killing anything, which is a huge challenge in itself, is more like a weird side effect that's possible in the game, not like a third way to play.
I don't know. It would be, I could see that happening. I don't think they're going to do it, but I could see that happening as an expansion, an entire expansion where for some reason you're part of a group where you're being behind. It's kind of like what I'm hoping will happen if they ever get a Diablo expansion. Like, how at the end, spoiler, sorry, but you have Tyrael, or is it Imperius, who goes like, and that's why everyone fears the Nephilim, because he can defeat demons and angels alike, and it's like, this guy is too powerful. So I'm like, wouldn't it be fun if like everyone's against you now and you're going around and killing everyone just because you're like, well, I can and you can't stop me from, they're all uniting to try and beat you. Maybe if they did it in the context of a future expansion, it could work somehow. Yeah. I don't know.
You're just making me want to watch Tyrael sacrifice cinematic again. That's what you've done here. Yeah. I love that. Oh my gosh, that's so good.
I encourage this guy to try role playing as it right now, though. Just go for it. Just ninja every piece of loot you can, kite big mobs into cities, just be a general douche and just be like, what? I'm role playing as a bad guy.
Sure.
Do you remember when you could do things like that, like really douchey moves, like you would bring a giant mob to a city
or something?
Stuff like, or I meant Stormwind, because
of course, sorry.
And do stuff like that. That was kind of fun, and that was that, I guess, that kind of thing. You had to, it was still working kind of with the quirks of the game. It wasn't in the game, but but it was fun. You would get like some giant dragon that had been pulled by a coordinated team that would drag it all the way to the city, and it would obviously destroy everyone. And imagine like you were a level 8 character who just learned about the game, and he was like, that's so cool, like there's like this entire world and this city, and you would get there and you would just die instantly.
Yeah,
and then res, and then die again. It was a horrible experience for these players. So if you want to do that, go ahead.
That's the story that you remember. I mean, that's something that's cool that happened in the game. Okay, here's what I'm gonna tell this guy to do: start a guild, call the guild douchebag Carls, and just a whole guild of people who just do nothing but try to screw other people's days up. And get out there, do your thing.
All right, fair enough. I like it.
You can roll that. There's your third faction.
Well, you can go on a PvP server and grade kill people.
Yeah, you could just go camp starting zones.
Yeah, exactly. Grade killing means killing characters that are great to you, so a lot lower level.
Sure, why not? But a true third faction, that's like almost like making a new game. They're not going to do it. Yep. Let's get to this call from Podson, who says, what was that song you played during the Harry's Out on episode 394? It sounded like a vaguely Lord of the Ringsy thing. Haunting and beautiful. Thanks for the info. All right, so I want to give credit where it's due. This was, I'll play a little bit of it here. This is the song that we played. This is the beginning of Russell Brower's song that he put together called Invincible. And quite often Russell will do, and we're going to have him on the show again soon to talk about Warlord's music, but he does an exclusive track typically for each expansion at some point that's unique to that expansion. And this one, called Invincible, is about Arthas's horse in Wrath of the Lich King, or previous to him becoming the Lich King, his relationship with his horse, who was named Invincible, which is a really cool story in its own right. The Christie Golden book goes deep into that, in the Arthas book. But yeah, that's it's an amazing track, and not on any of the albums that I know of. They put it out as a download at one point, but that's what I used, and it is pretty awesome. So there you go. There's your answer to that. And we will get Russell on, because I'm dying to kind of get that. We do this every expansion. Let's get him in here. Let's talk about the music of these damn games. And we'll do that again. Luli wrote in from the EU, France to be exact. Jeez, what the hell? Just kidding. It says, hi, guys. I am living in Japan. Oh, darn it. And I've been discussing with a couple of gamers here. I don't know that they have barely heard of WoW. I was wondering for what reason Blizzard did and still does skip this market, in your opinion. That's a strange sentence. Do you think the market is locked into Japanese firms making Japanese games, like the case of the Xbox One not doing so well? Because they do play MMOs with monthly charges, such as Final Fantasy. Thanks for the show, Luli. I don't know why Japan doesn't embrace Western RPGs at all, of any ilk.
So there's one key factor in all of this, which plays a huge role, I'm sure. It's the Japanese market is really not PC oriented. They play their video games on consoles, including those MMOs. I understand, there are PC games as well, but it's a really small portion of the Japanese video game industry. The Asian flavor is certainly a factor as well, but it's not the determining factor, because WoW is very successful in China and other parts of Asia as well. Sure, but my guess would be that the PC market share for games is the key factor there. I don't have any specific knowledge about this. That's having lived in Japan as well, and being a connoisseur of Japanese culture. That would be my guess.
Yeah, isn't connoisseur that's a French word, isn't it?
Yeah, but you don't pronounce it like that.
Oh, how do you say it? How do you guys say it?
Connoisseur.
Oh, I like that. I just feel fancy there for a second. That's amazing.
I can do that from time to time.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's probably why. There are definitely taste differences, though, too. And I'm not saying I don't think the word is resentment, but I just think they just don't like American-made stuff. I mean, that's not true of all things. They love a lot of the culture and the
Japanese
clothes.
Love American stuff.
No. I don't mean that. I'm specifically
talking. The Elvis guys in Japan, like I'm talking just like Elvis. And punk rock is huge in Japan.
Sure, but I'm talking
lots of American
specifically video games. Specifically video games. The other stuff, absolutely. They also put a lot of weird twists on the stuff that we like. Like, I'm pretty sure that baseball will one day become actual Futurama Blurns ball, but it'll happen in Japan because they just like to tweak things and put their own spin on it. But when it comes to video games, it just feels like they want nothing to do with Microsoft. They want nothing to do with American RPGs. They just aren't into it. And
Yeah, I mean, even the MMOs that they do play, I mean, Final Fantasy has changed a lot. The 14 has changed a lot in the past, I would say, year. But even the style of MMOs they play usually is super grindy. It's almost a different class of games. So even in the sense that they like some types of game that we enjoy, even those are usually very different in that subgenre.
Yeah. So I think that is definitely a factor. But it's interesting. At some point, they're a big market, a big financial market. I can't imagine Blizzard wouldn't like to have a stronger foothold there.
Well, they released, I believe, Diablo in Japan.
How did it do there? Do we know?
I think I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I can't remember, honestly. But I'm fairly sure they did. And my feeling is that it's because the market was there, meaning the consoles was where it was. And
if you it's just a financial decision. You look at the amount of money you think you can make and how much money you should spend on marketing, to make that amount of money. If it's not very much, if it doesn't add up, you don't do it.
Yeah, that's probably where they're at. Well, that does it for the episode, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Patrick, I had the esteemed opportunity for me and Jeff Kanata to appear on your Pixels podcast. It was a fantastic time. You should tell people where they can get that, because I really enjoyed it. It was a good time.
Sure, yeah, with great pleasure, Scott, Captain Johnson. You can get that show at FrenchSpin.com. That's the site where I host all of my English-speaking shows. And it was really a fun show. We had a really interesting discussion about whether or not games are expensive, and I still disagree with what you guys were saying. But listeners, you'll have to
spirited arguments.
To find out.
It was spirited, and that was good.
Anyway. So you can get all of that at FrenchSpin.com, and the show is called Pixels, and it's really fun. So go and check it out.
And don't forget, Not Patrick on Twitter. You can follow him there. Dills, you got any cool stuff going on? Angry Chicken always cranking away, of course.
Angry Chicken Monday nights, obviously. Other than that, I'm going to be on break for the holidays. I'm going to go to Seattle for a little while. And actually, some people wanted to meet up with me, which I think only night I could possibly do that would be a Tuesday. So if anybody's in the Seattle area, I'll probably send a tweet out or something with a place I can get to. And if you want to come hang out, that's where it'll be.
Sure.
So maybe a mini little meetup, play some Hearthstones. Who knows?
Yeah.
But other than that, I'll probably be streaming a lot during this break because I've been doing a lot of PvP, getting my conquest capped every week and all that stuff. And so look for that and Hearthstones. I'll be playing all the cards.
Nice. I'll be in Vegas for 8 days, and there will be a meetup there as well. Details on that. Just people follow me on Twitter for that, at Scott Johnson. Dills is at Willie Dills, of course. Terpster's super swamped with his charity drive. He's at _T. The show is at Instance Show. You can also find the show or the website at theinstance.net. That's a "the" in front. Our theme was created by Matthew Oxley. Big thanks to our intern, Paul Swickert, who takes care of the website. And more shows like this can be found at frogpants.com. Have a fantastic Christmas, everybody. We'll see you guys in about 2 weeks. Bye now.
Bye. Job done.
Oh, wait, no. Done. How does the remind me when he says job's done, not just in Hearthstone but in Warcraft, doesn't he say? Oh no, you know what? I'm thinking of orcs. Never mind. When they say
Zog Zog.
I thought they used to say "what me doing." I think what they're saying
something need doing?
Something need doing.
Something need doing. It's a question.
Yeah, it's not something me doing.
Oh, there's something. So when you go out and you cut down some timber. They come out and they say that.
It took me till today. Well, not today. Yesterday when I was playing, and I heard.
What did you think they were saying?
I thought they were saying something me doing.
Something me doing.
Something me doing. Like, am I doing something wrong?
Like, hey, am I doing something wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Like he thought he was doing something wrong, and all these years, 20 years of Warcraft, I thought that's what he was saying. It's embarrassing.
No.
It's embarrassing.
That's fine.
And I think they say Zog Zog, not Zug Zug.
Oh, really? Zog Zog?
Zog Zog. No,
I don't
think
know.
So.
I have no idea. They say
Semi-Haza is saying that in the chat room. But.
Zug Zug.
I think it's Zug Zug.
No.
Yeah, if you look it up, it's Zug Zug, a phrase used by the orcs in Warcraft.
Yeah, there it is. Orcish,
Zug Zug.
Orcish WoW Wiki. Zug Zug. Zog
Let's
Zog.
Let's look up Zog Zog.
Yeah.
What shows up for Zog
Probably
Zog?
some fetish sex thing.
No.
Zog on Wikipedia. Could be Zog the First of Albania. Zionist occupation government. Nope.
Something to do with the conspiracies around Jewish people.
Okay.
So that's totally not the same thing.
No.
Okay, so
turns
it's
out
Zug Zug Zen.
Zen. Sure, have some Zen. That's what we all need.
right.
Fantastic show, everybody. Have a wonderful night, Patrick. Have a wonderful day, Dills, and may we all meet somewhere in the middle. Bye now. All right, that's gonna do it. Thank you guys for being here. Shut down the YouTube.